question number 161, which states which of the following acid is usually used to grind living tissue for the separation of micromolecules and macromolecules. So students, NCERT में भी ये लिखा है that trichloroacetic acid is used to grind living tissue for the separation of micromolecules and macromolecules, and this trichloroacetic acid can be represented as Cl3CCOOH. So that's why option number 1, 3 and 4 are incorrect, and our correct answer here is option number 2. Now let's move on to next question, that is question number 162, which states among the following nitrogenous bases, select a purine that can form 2 hydrogen bonds with a pyrimidine. So students, purine is a double ring structure, while pyrimidine is a single ring structure. So let's see the options. पहला option का structure represents guanine, and guanine is a purine but it forms 3 hydrogen bonds with cytosine, so that's why this cannot be our answer. Second option here represents uracil, and it is not a purine, it is a pyrimidine, so that's why option number 2 is also incorrect. Option number 3 here represents the structure of adenine, and it is a purine which forms 2 hydrogen bonds with thymine, so this should be our answer, but let's see the other option also. Fourth option here represents the structure of thymine, and it is a pyrimidine, so that's why option number 4 is incorrect, and our correct answer here is option number 3. Now let's move on to next question, that is question number 163, which states the most abundant chemical compound in living organisms is. So students, let's see the options. Proteins form 10 to 15% of the living organisms, nucleic acid form 5 to 7%, water forms 70 to 90%, and carbohydrates forms 3%. So here you can see सबसे ज़्यादा water forms the maximum percentage in the living organism, so that's why option number 1, 2 and 4 are incorrect, and our correct answer here is option number 3. Now let's move on to next question, that is question number 164, which states select the incorrect option with respect to asthma. Now students, asthma क्या है? Asthma is the disorder of respiratory system, and this is caused via allergens. So options देखते हैं. पहला option है यहाँ पे wheezing sound during breathing. Now this is observed in asthma, so that's why this cannot be our answer. Option number 2 यहाँ पे है inflammation of trachea and esophagus. Now this is not observed in asthma, as in asthma there is seen inflammation in bronchioles and bronchi. So this should be our answer, but let's see the other options also. Third option here is inflammation of bronchi and bronchioles. Yes, this is observed in asthma, so that's why this cannot be our answer. Option number 4 here is difficulty in breathing. This is also observed in asthma, so that's why option number 4 is incorrect, and our correct answer here is option number 2. Now let's move on to next question, that is question number 165, which states under normal physiological conditions, every 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver approximately how much of O2 to the tissues. So students, this is written in NCERT also that every 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver approximately 5 ml of O2 to the tissues. So option number 1, 2 and 3 are incorrect, and our correct answer here is option number 4. Now let's move on to next question, that is question number 166, that states when percentage saturation of Hb, that stands for hemoglobin, with O2 is plotted against the PO2, the shape of the curve will be. So students, here we are talking about oxygen dissociation curve, and this curve is of S shape, or you can say sigmoid. So option number 1, 3 and 4 are incorrect, and our correct answer here is option number 2. So now let's move on to next question, that is question number 167, which states partial pressure in mmHg of oxygen in deoxygenated blood flowing through systemic veins is. So students, options are here 45 represents the value of PCO2 in deoxygenated blood, flowing through systemic veins, so that's why option number 2 is wrong. 95 represents the value of PO2 in oxygenated blood, flowing through systemic arteries, so that's why option number 3 is wrong. Option number 4 here is 104, which represents value of PO2 in alveoli. So that's why option number 4 is incorrect, and our correct answer is 40, which represents the value of PO2 in deoxygenated blood flowing through systemic veins. So our correct answer is option number 1. Now let's move on to next question, that is question number 168, which states during inspiration. So students, यहाँ पे पूछा गया है कि inspiration के दौरान क्या होता है. So during inspiration there is contraction of diaphragm and external intercostal muscles. That leads to increase in thoracic volume, and ribs and sternum are raised from their original position. So let's see the options. पहला option है यहाँ पे diaphragm contracts to increase thoracic volume. As I just told you that it does happens during inspiration. So this should be our answer, but let's see the other options. दूसरा ऑप्शन है यहाँ पे diaphragm relaxes to decrease thoracic volume. This is absolutely wrong because this happens during expiration, not during inspiration. So option number 2 is wrong. Option number 3 here is no change in position of diaphragm or thoracic volume is seen. So it is absolutely wrong. Option number 4 here is ribs and sternum remain in their original position. This also does not happen during inspiration. So option number 4 is incorrect, and our correct answer here is option number 1. Now let's move on to next question, that is question number 169, which states which of the following helps in clinical assessment of pulmonary functions. So options are, पहला option है यहाँ पे ECG. Now students, ECG stands for electrocardiogram, and this is used to check heart activities. So that's why option number 1 is wrong. Option number 2 here is angiograph. Now angiograph is a type of X-ray that is used to monitor the activities of blood vessels. So that's why option number 2 is wrong. Option number 3 here is sphygmomanometer. Now this is used to check blood pressure. So that's why option number 3 is incorrect. Option number 4 here is spirometer. Now spirometer does helps in clinical assessment of pulmonary functions. So that's why our correct answer is option number 4. Now let's move on to next question, that is question number 170, which states the partial pressure of oxygen in the systemic arteries is 95 mmHg, which is. So पहला option है less than the PO2 in lung alveoli. हमने previous slide में ही discuss किया that the value of PO2 in lung alveoli is 104 mmHg. So this should be our answer, but let's talk about the other options also. दूसरा ऑप्शन है यहाँ पे लेस दैन दी PCO2 इन सिस्टमिक वेन्स. ये भी हमने प्रीवियस स्लाइड में डिस्कस किया दैट द वैल्यू ऑफ PCO2 इन सिस्टमिक वेन इज 45 mmHg. So this is incorrect. Option number 3 equal to the PCO2 in systemic veins. This is absolutely wrong. Option number 4 here is less than the PO2 in actively metabolizing tissues. Now the value of PO2 in actively metabolizing tissues is approximately equals to 40 mmHg. So that's why option number 4 is also wrong, and our correct answer here is option number 1.